folks, this is Simon Says Movies, and this is Horror Globe Review number 5. Yeah folks, back again with review number 5, and this time around it is Friday the 13th, part 2. I decided to go for part 2 because I thought reviewing, the original was a bit too obvious. So I wanted to look at what came after, all the hype that surrounded the first one. And it's been a long time since I watched this film, and it is good. It's not as good as the first. Certainly watching these again, they don't stand up against Halloween. I know both have their good points, both have their bad points. Depends who you prefer. I do tend to prefer later Jason, I think. Obviously the first film, it was his mother. Second film, he's running around with a sack on his head. And it's quite funny that the most iconic thing about the Friday the 13th franchise doesn't sort of kick in until the third film, which is odd. But this is a decent solid movie. 1981, directed by Steve Miner, who also did part 3. He also did House, and then several years later he then switched franchises and did H2O, which I think gets a bit of a hard time, to be honest. I think it's a fairly decent Halloween movie. No huge stars in this one. The main two characters, Ginny and Paul, played by Amy Steele and John Forey. Was it John Forey? Yeah. Amy Steele was in April Fool's Day, and John Forey was more widely known for his TV than anything else, as were a lot of these sort of slasher stars back in the 80s. A lot of minor movie stars in the 80s, and they were more recognised for TV. They had parts in everything. If you have a look at their Internet Movie Database profiles. The opening scene of this movie is the one part that I'm not sure about. I don't know if it was really required. I mean, it sets the tone, it gives you the idea, but it's almost like watching the start of a new season of a TV programme where they give you a full rundown of what happened in the last one. They somehow feel the need to film a dream sequence with Adriana King, who played Alice in the first movie, the one and only surviving member. The girl who, if you remember right, was actually on the rowing boat at the end, and got grabbed by Jason as he dived out of the water just when you thought the film was finished. She's in this one right at the beginning, opening sequence, and she's lying about trying to have a sleep, and she's having some sort of flashback nightmare, I suppose, which basically just goes back over the whole last act of the first film. I don't know why they felt the need to do that, because surely the people that were running to see this when it came out were the people who had seen the first one. So that was a bit strange. I don't know if it was just to finally kill her character off, because as much as she was grabbed at the end, where you just assume she was dead, you don't know. But this movie takes place 5 years later. She's now dead. This obviously she dies. With what I have to say was probably, although I didn't think the flashback scenes were needed, I think the opening scene was good. Once she was awake and she was going around the house, it was one of these ones where you thought, nothing's going to happen, and then all of a sudden she's got a screwdriver in the side of her neck. So I did like the opening sequence. So then 5 years, you're 5 years after the events of the first film, and Camp Crystal Lake is shut down, and you have a whole new bunch of counsellors setting up for a new camp nearby. it's just all the usual stuff. There's a whole group of them, and then Jason's creeping about in the background. What did get me was that Jason now appears to be living in a ramshackle old made-up hut in the middle of the woods, which nobody has stumbled upon in 5 years. I mean, there must have been police investigations and everything, you know, and nobody has ever stumbled on it. Fishermen, hunters, nobody. But there you go, that is the horror genre. And obviously it's typical Friday the 13th. It builds up, and then all of a sudden they're picked off one by one. Jason starts to take them out. Jenny then discovers the shrine to his mother in this hut. I did think the scene with Jenny was quite clever, because she puts on Pamela Voorhees' sweater and pretends to be his mother, and she tells him to stop what he's doing, and you know that he'd been bad and stuff. And if it wasn't for the fact she moves slightly and Jason sees his mother's head, and then goes off on one, I did think the ending was slightly confusing, but I'll let you guys decide for yourself what you think of the ending, what you make of the ending. Leave me some comments, let me know what you think, because I was just a bit confused by the ending. It is, as I say, it's not the first movie, but what I will say it is good as, it's good as an introduction to the real star of the Friday the 13th franchise, Jason Voorhees, not his mother. Don't get me wrong, I like the whole concept of that in the first film. It ends up being his mother, who was, you know, heartbroken at the death of her son and took revenge on all these people who she blamed for his death. But this is a good solid, you know, hello to Jason. And I think now I'm going to go and watch possibly more of the franchise. I do hope to pick up the tin, the Region 1 tin, which I do just think is stunning, which I've seen loads of videos of people picking them up. So I'm hoping to get my hands on that at some point. But yeah, a good solid Friday the 13th, you know, before they started to get completely ridiculous. I do prefer Jason in his hockey mask, I have to say. He's not Jason unless he's got his hockey mask on, but it's a decent film, and one I would definitely recommend checking out. So that's review number 5 then, guys. I'll have another one done. I'm just going off now to watch something else. I haven't decided what yet, but I will be back with that in a day or so, and I'll see you guys soon. Bye.